-50 degrees, winds that strip heat from anything exposed, months without a single sunrise. This is the Arctic tundra at the dead of winter, so hostile that almost nothing alive should be here. But something is. A predator barely 10 pounds moving through the darkness, hunting prey it can hear beneath 3 feet of snow. The Arctic fox may be the most underestimated survivor on Earth. And the secret to how this animal doesn't just endure out here, but thrives, is the engineering, the precision, the intelligence that go far deeper than you'd expect. At the edge of what life can bear, the Arctic fox is shaped by forces colder and darker than most animals will ever face. Its secret is written into every centimeter of its body. The fur, for instance, is not simply thick. It is a masterpiece of insulation. Each square centimeter holds up to 110,000 hairs, layered in 2 distinct strata. The underfur, fine as silk and densely packed, traps air so effectively that about 80% of the pelt's volume is nothing but still air, a barrier that stops heat from escaping. Over this, longer guard hairs repel wind and snow, shielding the precious warmth within. Measured in the lab, this coat achieves a thermal resistance of 0.115 degrees Celsius per watt. In practical terms, that means a fox curled on open ice can keep its body heat locked inside even as the mercury drops below -50 degrees Celsius. The numbers are not abstract. Field biologists handling a sedated fox in winter often describe their hands warming against the animal's side as if touching a living furnace sealed within fur. But the marvel goes deeper. The Arctic fox's body is compact, almost spherical, with short legs and a rounded muzzle. This shape minimizes the surface area exposed to the cold, reducing the amount of heat lost to the air. The ears are small and thickly furred, pressed close to the skull. Even the tail, bushy and dense, serves as a portable blanket, curling over the nose during sleep to conserve every last bit of warmth. The paws are another feat of survival engineering. Unlike most canids, the Arctic fox walks on pads sheathed with a dense mat of short guard hairs, nearly a millimeter thick. This fur layer acts as both insulation and traction, letting the fox move across snow and ice without freezing its feet or slipping. Beneath the skin, the blood vessels are arranged in tight pairs, arteries and veins separated by less than half a millimeter. This countercurrent heat exchange allows warm blood from the body's core to transfer its heat to the colder blood returning from the extremities, recycling warmth before it can be lost to the snow. Thermal imaging reveals that, even in -30 degrees Celsius, the surface of the paw pad stays just a few degrees above freezing, while the fox's core remains a steady 38 degrees Celsius. Every detail, from the microscopic structure of the fur to the invisible choreography of blood flow, is tuned for survival in a world where a single mistake can mean death by cold. The Arctic fox is not simply enduring the tundra, it is engineered for it. A living answer to the question of how far life can be pushed and still persist. Every Arctic fox is a shapeshifter, vanishing into the landscape by changing not just its habits, but its very color. As the light drains from the tundra and the first snow hardens to ice, the fox's coat begins a transformation few mammals can match. The process is not a matter of days, but of weeks, a slow, relentless replacement of every hair on its body. In autumn, as daylight drops below 12 hours, the fox's brain signals a cascade of hormones. Melatonin and thyroid hormones surge, triggering follicles to shed the thin, tawny summer coat and replace it with a winter pelt that is nearly 3 times as thick. Under a microscope, the difference is unmistakable. Winter fur packs in up to 12,000 follicles per square centimeter, each producing guard hairs and a dense underfur that together create a plush, insulating armor. The mass of this new coat can reach 780 grams per square meter, a 200% increase over the summer's sparse covering. But thickness is only half the story. The real magic is color. By December, most Arctic foxes are pure white, so perfectly matched to the snow that even their shadow seems to disappear in the midday glare. This is not just camouflage, it is erasure. Field biologists have watched a fox cross open ground and simply dissolve into the background, invisible to both prey and predator until it moves again. The white morph dominates inland tundra, where snow stretches unbroken for hundreds of kilometers. Here the fox is a ghost, slipping past the watchful eyes of ptarmigan and snowy owl alike. Along the coasts, a different kind of fox haunts the rocky shorelines. The blue morph, carrying a recessive gene at the MC1R locus, stays dark brown or slate gray all year. On Bylot Island and other northern archipelagos, nearly a quarter of the foxes are blue, their coats blending with the lichen-crusted stones and storm-washed gravel. Genetic surveys show that this morph peaks on islands battered by winter storms where snow is patchy and shadows run blue under the overcast sky. For these foxes, invisibility means something different. A cloak of dusk that lets them hunt seabirds and scavenge along the rack line unseen by rivals. No matter the color, the effect is the same. The Arctic fox becomes a part of the landscape, a living piece of winter itself. The full molt cycle is a feat of biology and timing, tuned to the shifting cues of light and temperature. The cost is high. Up to 8% of the fox's yearly energy budget is spent growing and maintaining this seasonal disguise. Yet the payoff is survival. Against the endless white, the fox melts into silence, stalking prey that never sees it coming. In summer, the transformation reverses. The white coat slips away in ragged patches, replaced by a brown-gray pelt that matches the thawed tundra and rocky dens. For a few weeks, the fox is a creature caught between worlds, half winter, half summer, never quite belonging to either. Then the cycle begins again. This mastery of color is more than beauty. It is the foundation of the fox's stealth. To hunt in a land with no cover, the Arctic fox must become the cover. With every hair, every shift of pigment, it writes itself into the story of the tundra, unseen and unstoppable. Silence on the tundra is rarely empty. For the Arctic fox, it is a field of signals, each one a thread that could lead to a hidden meal or a fatal mistake. The fox stands motionless, ears cupped forward, every muscle held in check. Under the snow, a lemming scurries, its movements muffled and nearly erased by a meter of compacted powder. Yet the fox detects it, a faint rustle, a vibration, a whisper of sound that registers at just 22 decibels. In laboratory tests, Arctic foxes have responded to tones at this threshold, a level so quiet that it rivals the hearing of domestic dogs and outperforms most wild carnivores. The frequency range matters too. The fox is most sensitive between 1 and 3 kilohertz, exactly the range of squeaks and footfalls made by small rodents moving through tunnels beneath the snow. Field biologists have measured snowpack at strike sites and found lemming runs buried under nearly 3 feet. The fox's ability to pinpoint prey at such depths is not just a feat of hearing, but of spatial calculation. Each ear moves independently, triangulating the source of the sound with a precision that borders on the uncanny. The fox listens, head tilting, then freezes as if caught by an invisible signal. In this moment, the animal is running silent computations: distance, depth, direction, while the world around it holds its breath. Some researchers believe the fox's accuracy goes beyond mere sound. In a series of GPS collar studies, foxes hunting under overcast skies were recorded, aligning their bodies within 12 degrees of magnetic north before launching their pounce. The data, gathered from miniature magnetometers and GPS units, suggest a subtle correlation. Strikes made along this axis were more likely to succeed. The hypothesis is bold that the Arctic fox may sense the Earth's magnetic field and use it as a biological compass, fine-tuning the angle of attack when visual cues are lost in the whiteout. The mechanism remains unproven, a tantalizing mystery at the edge of science, but the pattern in the data is hard to ignore. A field researcher's voice carries over the wind, describing the fox's stillness as a kind of listening meditation, ears flicking, breath shallow, body coiled. The fox waits, poised above a world it cannot see, guided by cues that are invisible to human senses. The anticipation in these moments is electric, the landscape itself seeming to pulse with potential. Then in a blur, the fox launches upward, breaking the silence and the snow. Whether the strike lands or misses, the process is a masterclass in sensory precision, an animal tuned to the hidden geometry of the tundra, reading the world through sound and perhaps through forces we are only beginning to understand. The moment arrives in a flash of calculation and muscle. The Arctic fox, still as a snowdrift, coils its body in a shallow crouch. Every sense is locked on the faintest vibration below, a lemming shifting in its tunnel, oblivious to the danger overhead. The fox's breath clouds the air for a heartbeat, then vanishes as the body explodes upward. The launch is pure physics and predation, a vertical strike honed by necessity. Hind legs drive down with a force more than double the fox's own weight, measured in the lab at nearly 2.3 times body mass. The angle of ascent is no accident, close to 45 degrees, the perfect compromise between height and distance. For a split second, the fox is airborne, legs tucked, tail streaming behind like a white pennant. In slow motion, every muscle is visible in the freeze frame, spine arched, paws flexed, ears flattened against the skull to cut wind resistance. At the apex, time seems to pause. The world narrows to a single point of impact. Then gravity takes hold. The fox descends, front paws extended, nose aimed at the precise spot where prey is buried. Snow erupts in a silent plume as the fox punches through the crust, breaking a meter of compacted powder in a single, unbroken arc. The physics of the strike are unforgiving. Too shallow, and the fox glances off the surface. Too steep, and it buries itself without hope of recovery. But when the angle and force align, the result is a perfect breach, a tunnel straight to the heart of the lemming's world. Biologists have measured the speed of these attacks at over 7 meters per second, with the fox's body compressing on impact to absorb the shock. The paws act as shock absorbers, splaying wide to distribute weight and prevent injury. Beneath the snow, the fox's jaws snap closed on its target, often in total darkness. The entire sequence, from stillness to strike to capture, unfolds in less than 2 seconds. Not every pounce ends in a meal. The snow sometimes betrays, collapsing or scattering the scent. But the fox's success rate is astonishing, especially when prey is close to the surface. High-speed footage captures the precision of these attacks. The launch, the mid-air freeze, the eruption of snow, and sometimes the triumphant lift of a lemming from the white. This is more than brute force. The fox is solving a real-time equation: sound, depth, snow density, wind direction, even the subtle cues of magnetic north. Each strike is a gamble, a calculation played out in the language of muscle and instinct. In the emptiness of the tundra, this vertical leap is both a signature and a survival strategy, a move that transforms the fox from invisible shadow to apex hunter in a single breathtaking moment. A single kill on the tundra is not just a fleeting victory, it is the opening move in a months-long game of survival. The Arctic fox turns abundance into insurance, caching food across a territory that can stretch for tens of square miles. Each cache is a silent promise against the hunger of deep winter. In a single summer, a fox may bury hundreds of lemmings, bird eggs, or scraps scavenged from larger predators. The act is quick: a shallow scrape, a twist of the snout, a flick of soil over the prize, and then the fox moves on, vanishing into the endless white. Yet the memory remains. Spatial memory trials with captive foxes show they can relocate dozens of their own caches weeks after hiding them, even when buried beneath snow. Field studies reveal wild foxes retrieving food from sites mapped months before, threading their way through a mental landscape as vast as the tundra itself. But the fox's strategy is not limited to what it kills. Along the ice edge where polar bears hunt seals, the fox becomes a shadow. It trails bears at a careful distance, watching for the moment when the giant leaves behind a carcass. Not every bear is worth following. Observations in Svalbard show that foxes choose their targets, favoring bears with recent kills and higher success rates. This is not mere opportunism, but decision-making in real time, weighing risk against reward. In the Arctic, every calorie counts. The result is a network of caches scattered across the landscape, each one a calculated bet against the uncertainty of the coming months. The fox is not simply reacting to the present, it is thinking ahead, transforming a single meal into a winter's worth of survival. In this frozen chessboard, foresight is as vital as fur, and memory is the difference between life and death. A fox pup blinks in the pale Arctic sun, its fur a miniature version of the adult's living insulation, its nose quivering at a world still measured in shadows and scent. Here, family is not just a comfort, but a blueprint for survival. Arctic foxes form monogamous pairs, each season's bond renewed by the promise of new life. Both parents share the work, digging, guarding, and feeding. In years when lemmings boom, a single den can shelter up to 14 pups, the largest litters of any wild canid. During lean years, that number may dwindle to just 2 or 3, a silent calculation shaped by food and fate. The den itself is a monument to endurance. Some have sheltered foxes for over 3 centuries, their tunnels carved deeper by each generation. Radiocarbon dating of bones and plant remains from Icelandic and Norwegian dens confirms ages stretching back to the early 1700s. These labyrinths offer more than warmth. They are the heart of a territory, a safe haven in a land where exposure means death. But the world outside is changing. Red foxes, larger and more aggressive, now push north as winters warm and snow retreats. Genetic surveys show red fox alleles appearing in once pure Arctic populations. Habitat models predict that by 2050, a third of the Arctic fox's range could be lost to competition and climate. An ecologist's voice, wind-chapped and tired, describes the shift. The tundra is shrinking, and with it, the future for these ancient families. The Arctic fox, engineered for a world of ice and silence, finds itself on the edge of a new uncertainty, one that no adaptation can easily solve. Engineered for a world of silence and ice, the Arctic fox is intelligence made visible, solving the tundra in real time every night. Yet as warming air unlocks ancient permafrost and red foxes advance north, its perfect code faces a new riddle. Survival now means adapting faster than the world can change. In the Arctic, genius isn't enough. Only transformation endures. If this moved you, share your thoughts in the comments below.